Welcome back to the solo rank journey, everyone. Before we even jump into the madness of this game, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below if you've ever had one of those matches where everything seems to go wrong. Because trust me, this game you're about to see, it was one of those matches. Alright, let's get into it. Today, we're playing as a roamer again, and if you've been following this solo rank adventure, you already know it's been one wild ride so far. If you missed the other episodes, don't worry, you can check them out after this one. But stay here for now, because what's coming up in this match, oh man, you don't want to miss it. So, in this match, I decided to go with Popol and Kupa as the roamer. Yeah, you heard that right, Popol as roam. I can already hear you guys typing in the comments like, wait, what? Popol as a roamer? Are you serious? Oh, I'm dead serious. It sounds off meta, I know, but that's the fun part. You already know I like experimenting with weird picks just to see how far I can take them in solo rank. And honestly, it turned out to be way better than I expected. Most people see Popol and think marksman, or maybe even jungler since he's got good control and tower pushing ability. But here's the thing, if you understand how to use his traps, his crowd control, and his map control, you can turn Popol into one of the most annoying roamers the enemy team has ever faced. And in this match, that's exactly what I did. Now, right from the start, things were looking a little messy. Our Lancelot, oh boy, this guy, let me tell you, he was struggling. Not because he was bad, but because his internet was clearly fighting for its life. He was teleporting all over the map like he had the recall animation permanently on. You know that moment when your jungler disappears mid-fight and then reappears 5 seconds later, dead? Yeah, that was our Lancelot. Free gold donations for the enemy, and I was just there thinking, okay, this is going to be one of those games. The enemies were super aggressive, like they were camping our jungle, pushing every lane, diving turrets, taunting in chat, you name it. They thought they had this game in the bag. But what they didn't know is that we were about to flip everything around. Now this is where Popol's value as a roamer really shines. His traps, they're like having a personal drone camera on the battlefield. You can put them in bushes, near objectives, or around your jungle entrances, and boom, instant map vision. No more surprise ganks, no more face-checking bushes and getting one-shot by a hidden saber or Gushin. Nah, not on my watch. That's when you know your vision game is on point. Now, if you're wondering, why not just use Selena if you want traps? Good question. Selena's great, but the difference is that Popol's traps are easier to maintain, you can set up more of them, and they also deal some poke damage with slow, so it's vision and control. Plus, you've got Kupa, the fluffy beast that does all the dirty work for you. And speaking of Kupa, man, that wolf deserves an MVP award. This guy was out there tanking hits, poking enemies, and stunning them while I played it safe behind. It's like having a pet that fights for you while you do the thinking. You just whistle, and boom, Kupa's already biting someone's leg. The synergy between Popol and Kupa as a roamer is insane once you understand spacing and timing. Anyway, back to the match. Early game wasn't looking great. Our Lancelot was lagging, our mid laner was getting pressured, and top lane was a bit shaky. But then I noticed something. Our Irithel in the gold lane was popping off. You know that feeling when you're losing in every lane, but one of your teammates is just quietly farming, taking towers, and winning their lane? That's what gave me hope. Because even if the rest of the map is chaos, if you have just one strong teammate, there's always a chance. So my job became simple, protect the Irithel at all costs. I started shadowing her, setting traps around her lane, making sure no surprise ganks happened. Every time the enemy tried to dive, boom, trap stun, Kupa bite, and they had to back off. Slowly but surely, we began to stabilize. And that's one thing I always tell people about solo rank. Don't lose hope early. Even if your team's dying left and right, even if the enemy is flexing their lead, if you stay calm and play smart, there's always a way back. The beauty of Mobile Legends is that one mistake in the late game can completely flip the match. One bad engage, one overextended carry, and suddenly you're on the winning side. So, as the game went on, I kept doing my job, providing vision, peeling for our Irithel, and annoying the enemy jungler with traps. And the funniest thing happened, they started to get paranoid. Every time they walked into a bush and triggered one of my traps, you could see them hesitate. It's like psychological warfare. They didn't know where it was safe anymore. Even though I wasn't dealing massive damage like a marksman, my control over the battlefield made a huge difference. We started winning small skirmishes, catching their mage out of position, trapping their assassin, and slowly turning the pressure back on them. So in games like this, map awareness is the real key to winning. Just do your best, stay patient, and wait for the enemy to slip up. Because trust me, they always do sooner or later. Even if you're losing, don't give up. Give it everything you've got, especially if you've got that one teammate who's still playing well. The enemy might have double your team's total kills, they're taking all the objectives, and everything looks lost. But guess what? The game is still winnable. As long as you've got at least one good public teammate hanging in there, there's always hope. So keep playing, stay sharp, and wait for that golden moment to pull off an epic comeback. The enemy kept playing super aggressive, constantly pressuring us non-stop, and the Lord was about to spawn in just a few seconds. So in situations like this, you've got to stay calm and wait for the Lord to appear. Then only go for a fight if you actually see a real chance to win it. But if you know that taking that fight will only lead to a loss, then just let the Lord go and focus on defending your base. Sometimes playing smart and staying alive is way better than forcing a bad fight. Now, let's talk a little deeper about why Popol and Kupa as a roamer isn't just a troll pick. It's actually one of the smartest off-meta strategies you can pull off if you understand how to play around his strengths. Most players see Popol as this squishy marksman with a pet wolf, but the truth is, when you use him right, he becomes a map control machine. You see, in ranked games, information is everything. The team that knows where the enemies are will almost always make better decisions, and Popol gives you that advantage for free. His traps aren't just there to deal tiny bits of damage, they're a vision network. Every time you drop a trap in a bush, you're denying enemy ambushes, securing your jungle, and saving your teammates from surprise deaths. That's already huge value, and you didn't even need to fight for it. But what really makes Popol shine as a roamer is his flexibility. You can adjust your playstyle based on your team composition. Use Kupa to peel enemies away, drop traps behind them to prevent assassins from flanking, and keep the enemy frontline zoned out. But if your team lacks map vision or tends to face-check bushes, then you become the team's radar, setting up traps across the river and jungle paths like a walking surveillance drone. And trust me, there's no better feeling than watching a cocky assassin jump into a bush thinking they're about to get a free kill, only to get stunned by a trap and immediately deleted by your teammates. You just sit there smiling like, yep, that was my trap, thank you very much. Now let's talk about positioning, because that's what separates a good Popol roamer from a great one. Unlike tanks, you can't just sit in front and soak damage. You've got to play around spacing. Popol's range allows you to poke enemies while staying safe, and Kupa can take hits for you, but only if you manage the distance correctly. A common mistake players make is letting Kupa run too far ahead without checking where the rest of the team is. Always make sure your teammates are ready to follow up before sending Kupa to bite someone, otherwise he's just gonna end up being free food for the enemy tank. One of the coolest tricks with Popol Roam is baiting fights. You can intentionally drop traps around an area and pretend to back off, making the enemy think you're gone. Then when they walk into that bush, boom, trap's done, Kupa pounce, and your team collapses for an easy kill. It's simple but super effective when done right. Now let's talk about something a lot of people underestimate, Popol's turret push potential even as a roamer. You might think, but roamers shouldn't focus on towers. True, but here's the trick. Popol doesn't need to fully commit to a push. After a fight, when you've got a small window and enemies are dead or retreating, send Kupa to hit the turret, while you stay behind. You'll be surprised how much damage he does even without core items. That's how you slowly build map pressure without taking unnecessary risks. And let's be honest, nothing tilts enemies more than seeing their tower melt because of a roamer. It's like psychological warfare. They don't expect it, and it gets in their head. Suddenly they start playing more defensively, and that gives your team more freedom to rotate and take objectives. Now, itemization-wise, you've got to build smart. Since you're a roamer, your focus isn't damage, it's utility and survivability. And don't sleep on Athena's shield, because when assassins realize you're the one providing all the vision, you become their target. Having that extra shield could literally save your life in a clutch fight. Some players even go for immortality late game, and honestly, it's perfect for Popol Roam. You get caught, you die, you come back, and your traps and Kupa are still doing work. It's like being annoying twice in one life. Now let's talk about synergy, because Popol's value goes up depending on who you're playing with. Pair him with heroes that can capitalize on crowd control. And here's another fun thing, you can use your traps to fake pressure. Drop a few around objectives like Turtle or Lord even when you're not planning to contest right away. The enemy will think your team's nearby and hesitate to start it. You basically create fear without even being there. That's the kind of psychological edge that wins games. Now let's get a bit deeper into teamfight strategy. As Popol Roam, your job isn't to engage, it's to react, control space, and protect your backline. Always be aware of where assassins are. Now, I know some people might say Popol can't tank, and yeah, that's true. He's not a tank in the traditional sense, but he doesn't need to be. His strength lies in controlling the battlefield, not absorbing hits. Think of him like a strategist rather than a bruiser. You're setting traps, forcing the enemy into bad positions, and making sure your team has all the info they need before engaging. In higher ranks, this kind of awareness is what separates average roamers from great ones. Anybody can press skills, but not everyone can think ahead. Popol rewards that kind of smart, patient play. And let's not forget, he's also one of the most annoying heroes to play against when mastered. The enemy jungler can't invade freely, assassins can't flank, and supports can't walk anywhere without triggering something. It's like you're everywhere at once, even when you're not. That constant pressure wears teams down over time. If you ever watch high-rank Popol Roam gameplay, you'll notice how much time they spend not fighting, but preparing. Setting traps, scouting objectives, baiting rotations. That's what makes the difference. Popol doesn't just react to fights, he creates the conditions for good fights. Whether you're using a meta hero or an off-meta pick like Popol Roam, as long as you understand your role and play smart, you can win any match. So yeah, keep experimenting, keep learning, and don't be afraid to try something different. And if you're watching this right now and thinking, I'm gonna test Popol Roam in my next game, go for it. Trust me, once you pull off that first successful trap combo or clutch Lord steal, you'll understand exactly why I love this pick so much. And remember, it's not about how strong your hero is, it's about how smart you play them.